Welcome back to Details and Deep Dives. I'm Marcus, and today we're going to be talking about a product called Surface Prep, which the part number is M122. A lot of times you'll see people kind of use the names interchangeably there. This was another one of the products that was launched for 2020, class of 2020. And this is a unique product in a couple ways. There are other products out there that serve the purpose of kind of a surface prep or panel wipe. These are kind of the different terms that you'll hear. And essentially the main idea that most of these products are used for is prior to applying some type of a coating to the surface, whether that's a ceramic coating, the hybrid paint coating, titanium coating, whatever the type of coating it is, you want to make sure that those products are bonding directly to the surface, usually paint, right? So if you've done a paint correction prior to applying that coating, which is very common, you're most likely going to have some compound or some polish residue and some oils that are going to be left over on that surface. So the point of this product, one of the main points, or the comparable products out there, is that you can safely, spray it on the towel or on the surface and wipe that area and then remove those oils or those residues. So then you can apply that coating and it can bond properly to the surface. What was done a little bit differently with M122 Surface Prep is that it was also kind of dual purposed in the way that it was built, so that it was very safe to use during your paint correction process, not just at the end. And what I mean by that is, it's very common, you'll hear people talk about IPA or isopropyl alcohol. They'll use concentrations of that, up in the 90+% concentration. And that is a very popular, inexpensive option to remove oils before applying a coating. But the downside to IPA is that if you use IPA, especially if you spray it straight onto a panel, and that panel is warm or hot, let's say you were buffing on a plastic panel like a bumper cover, or some other plastic panel on a vehicle, or even on a metal panel, aluminum panel, or a fiberglass panel, and you just really were going after it with a polisher, and that was a hot surface. IPA can definitely stain and even permanently discolor and damage that surface, particularly at the higher end of the concentration levels. So we wanted to use a kind of a cocktail, if you will, of things that when mixed together are as effective as what you're used to with being able to remove it with IPA, but without having that high risk for staining on the surface. To me, that's a huge thing. We did a lot of testing in the lab on excess painted hoods, and man, it was kind of terrifying how easily, if you quick polish a spot and you're tired, you've been polishing on a car for 4, 6, 8 hours, and you don't stop to think, oh, I better check and see if it's hot, and you spray that isopropyl on there, boom, you're done, you're toast. You may not be able to recover from that without a repaint. So this idea is, it's a saver for, nightmare stress scenarios. But the other thing, and this is really another very key differentiation between this and both isopropyl and other products on the market, is that it is also engineered to be a lubricant. So when you're removing compound or polish at any point during your correction phase, there are certain paints that are so sensitive that even a fresh microfiber, when removing some dried on compound or polish, can mar or swirl the paint. This will help reduce the amount of mechanical effort or force or friction that you need to remove the dried compound or polish, because it's engineered to break it up and make it very easy to wipe it off. The other thing is it just flat out creates a lubrication barrier between it and the towel and the paint. So, no matter what you're doing, when you're wiping on the surface with this, it is a much, much safer option. The last thing you want to do, you're working on a black Tesla or a black GM and you've got crazy soft paint, and you get it polished to flawless, and then you go wipe everything off and you walk around the car with a check light and, oh, whoops, I've introduced towel marring everywhere. It's a nightmare. Avoid that nightmare and use something like this. That's kind of the point there. So the other thing to kind of note is that there's really two types of surface preps or panel wipes on the market. You have water-based and solvent-based. And I'll break that down because it's not necessarily purely a technical differentiation, but it's more of at a high level you should understand. There are some solvent-based ones that are extremely aggressive and have a lot of solvents in them. Not necessarily a bad thing, You just need to understand that A, they're much more expensive cost per ounce, and B, some of them can sometimes swell the paint or the surface, potentially hide some marring, and potentially make it a little more sensitive. So just be aware of that. And it's more aggressive. You should probably wear some PPE when you're using that. This is a water-based one. That doesn't mean it's all water. It just means that there's a water base, and then you've got some other products in there, some solvents mixed in, for the cleaning, but it's going to be a little bit less aggressive. So if you're trying to remove, for example, like a straight waxing grease remover, it's another kind of a class of product, that is going to be a solvent-based, very aggressive mix. That's a different type of product than this is. This is really ideally going to be after at least one step of polishing before you coat. This is the ideal situation for that. Now, the big other huge pro tip for this, and this is what I fell in love with for this product and why I use quite a bit of it, is just simply while I'm polishing or performing a paint correction, even a product that does not have added or intentional fillers can potentially lightly fill some things. By using this, just a few spritzes, when I'm removing my compound and polish as I go, I know that I'm seeing the true results. It's gonna remove those oils or whatever might be on that surface. It's gonna hide some potential defects that might come up later. And then you end up coating them in, and then you got a whole nightmare in your hands. So for me, it's about checking the integrity of my work as I go. That's, I get the majority of my use for M122 is using it while I'm performing paint corrections. So hopefully that helps you guys understand what this is and how it's differentiated from the other products out there on the market. Again, I'm sure I missed something, so if you've got any questions, please leave it in the comment below, and I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks again, and I'll see you in a week.